What's up everyone? Today I'm sharing with you the 4 supplements that helped me put 25 pounds of muscle on in just a few months. One of them is a rare supplement that you may not have heard of yet, and I'm also going to share with you one supplement that I don't recommend you spend your money on. So let's dive into it. So up first we have probably the most important supplement in my opinion, and the only supplement that I quite frankly don't understand when people don't take it, and that's going to be creatine. Just a quick tip before we get started on creatine. When you're buying it, don't fall for any of the marketing gimmicks. Just get your standard micronized creatine monohydrate. It's one of the cheapest forms, and it's the most effective form, the most studied form, so that's the one that I recommend. Creatine basically does 2 things. So first of all, it increases your stores of phosphocreatine, which basically allows your muscles to create more adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, when you're working out. This can lead to slightly higher 1-rep maxes, but in my experience leads more to like an increased number of reps. So if you could hit 225 for 5, you start taking creatine, you're done loading, it's all in your muscles, maybe you're gonna get it for 6 or 7 now. The other thing that creatine does is it increases water retention. So creatine actually draws water into your muscles and increases what's called cell volumization. So that means that your cells actually increase in size due to the additional water inside of them. And this means your muscles stay hydrated and they also look fuller. If you are new to taking creatine or you've never taken it before, I would recommend that you load it, which means you take 10 grams in the morning, 10 grams at night for 4 to 5 days, which will allow your body to accumulate basically the amount of creatine that you need to actually reap its benefits. So creatine, unlike a lot of these other supplements that we're going to get into, you actually need to load over a certain period of time and actually build up the supply of it in your muscle cells, which basically means that even on your off days, you're still going to be taking creatine to basically keep up with your body's demand for it. For number 2, before we get into the rarer supplements, we're just going to talk about whey protein real quick. Whey protein, in my opinion, is another supplement that I don't really see why people don't take it. It is the most bioavailable source of protein you can get, and for around $1 a scoop, it's also, believe it or not, a pretty cheap source of high quality protein compared to most of the other options. Now, when it comes to protein, there are 2 kinds that I like to get. So the first is going to be basically the cheapest whey isolate you can find. Isolate is a little bit better than whey concentrate. It's a little bit more pure, so less carbs, less fat. Not that there's really much in concentrate to begin with, but isolate's just that little bit cleaner. And then I also like to have clear protein. So clear protein is a much more refined, much cleaner, even compared to isolate, much cleaner. It tastes almost like fruit juice, so I like to have this in the mornings. I don't want to upset my stomach with like lactose and kind of the heavier feeling of normal whey protein. So this is great for mornings or pre-workout when you don't want to have that kind of full stomach feeling that you get with normal protein. And then before I go to bed, I like to mix isolate with whole milk. And the casein protein in whole milk basically forms like a glue with the whey protein isolate, which means that the whole time you're sleeping, your body has a constant source of protein to pull from. While whey protein totally is not necessary to build a great physique, in my experience, it's a relatively cost-effective way to get your protein in, and it also just makes it so much easier. Like if I'm about to go to bed and I need to get 30, 40 grams of protein in, it's so much easier to just shake one of these up instead of making a whole meal. So really, convenience is the main reason I recommend having some whey protein around. Up next is the unsung hero of my supplement stack. This is Glycerol. In particular, this is Gorilla Mode liquid glycerol. You can also get it in powder form. You know, like creatine, it attracts and retains water in your muscle tissues. But unlike creatine, this leads to insane pumps. So if you mix this with a regular pre-workout, or even like if you want the best effect with a stim-free pump formula, this will give you like skin splitting pumps. And in terms of the serving size, I like to do about a half capful. That is about 0.5 fluid ounces of glycerol. If you have the powder form of glycerol, that'll be equivalent to roughly, 12.5 grams of glycerol, as you can see there. I would recommend you just go for the liquid version because the powdered form tends to clump up in your shake, whereas this is like homogenized, much smoother, and makes you kind of want to throw up a little less. The regular powder version can be a little sickly. Last but not least, certainly not least, because this is probably everyone's favorite segment of supplements, we're going to talk about pre-workout. So I generally try to have a variety of different pre-workouts that I can go to. It helps with building a tolerance up. You'll notice if you take the same pre-workout for a while, your first scoop might feel great, and your last scoop, you may barely feel anything. So with that being said, I recommend you grab a couple. In particular, try to grab some stim heavy ones. So for example, not really this one, but like Final Call, for example, ton of caffeine. This one even has actually 1,3-dimethylamine or 1,3-DMAA, which I do not recommend. It's not great for you, so I'm not going to be replacing this with another can. But make sure you get one that's heavy on the stims. And then I've also got, so this one, for example, is Gorilla Mode Nitric. So this has no stimulants, no caffeine or anything. So if I'm going to be hitting like a heavy workout after work, and I want to be able to go to bed, within a somewhat short time frame after my workout, definitely going to go with a pump formula. So this has, as I mentioned, no stimulants. This, if you take this at 6, 7 p.m. with all the caffeine and everything, you're going to have a tough time falling asleep before like 2 a.m. So especially if you work like a 9 to 5, I would definitely recommend you grab some stim-free pre-workout. One other thing that you'll notice is that I tend to have some of these just like single servings. So if I am, for example, going to someone else's gym after work and I don't want to bring like a whole, array of supplements with me, I can just throw 1 or 2 of these in my bag and you're good to go. And it's very important when you're choosing your pre-workout to actually read the supplement facts and see what's on there. So some of the key ingredients you want to look out for are like obviously caffeine, which is going to boost your energy, boost your mental alertness and your focus, and it's going to basically just enhance like your overall workout performance. You're also going to want to look out for beta-alanine, which helps to reduce muscle fatigue, and it also gives you like this nice tingly feeling that really means like your pre-workout's kicking in, it's ready to hit the weights. You're also going to want to look for some of the amino acids like L-arginine, taurine, tyrosine. Those will basically just allow you to kind of reduce like the amount of cramps you're getting. It's going to increase blood flow, allow some more nutrient delivery to your muscles, and some of them can also, like caffeine, increase your mental alertness. Also look out for citrulline malate, which enhances nitric oxide production, basically gives you a better pump. So for example, like this is nitric, this is going to have more of that kind of stuff because it's more geared to just give you a sick pump with less of the stimulant effect. And then nitric oxide, like in and of itself, will also lead to increased muscle pumps. When you mix a pre-workout, especially pump formula, with the glycerol that we have over here, that's basically like the best pump you're going to get. So if you've never tried glycerol, I'd recommend when you grab a pre-workout, grab some of this as well. It's actually much cheaper than pre-workout. This is 60 servings for like 20, 30 bucks, so 50 cents a serving. Whereas pre-workout generally you're going to find is more around $1 a serving. So for 50 cents more, basically like double the effect of your pre-workout in my opinion with the effects of glycerol. I think it's worth it. And finally, we're going to get to the supplement that I don't recommend you spend your money on, and that's going to be BCAAs. So BCAAs used to be like hype in the fitness industry. Like everyone used to walk around with a blender bottle full of BCAAs while they're working out. Nowadays, they've seen a huge decline in recommendations simply because if you're working out, if you're bodybuilding, you're probably getting like by far enough BCAAs in your diet already. Regular protein powder has a solid serving of BCAAs, which is short for branched chain amino acids, I'm sure you guys know. But basically, like if you're eating a lot of meat, a lot of protein powder, a lot of milk, you're getting more than enough BCAAs anyway. There's no need to spend more money on these. There's really no benefit to having them in your workout if you have protein before your workout and if you're gonna have protein after you work out. So for that reason, skip the expense. These are expensive too, like more than $1 a serving. So in my opinion, like if you're gonna have something like BCAAs to supplement your diet, instead of spending $1 on a serving of BCAAs and getting 7 or 8 grams of protein, spend $1 on whey protein, get the same BCAAs and 20 grams of other protein. I just don't really understand why anyone would spend the money on these. Now, before I clean up this total mess of supplements, I want to remind you guys that supplements are exactly that. They are a supplement and they are not a replacement for proper exercise, proper training, and a great diet. I also want to let you guys know that if you're thinking of adding any of these and you haven't taken them before, always consult with your physician. Make sure that there's not going to be any cross effects with anything else you're taking. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And if there are any supplements that I missed that you guys love, let me know below. I'm always down to try some new supplements. And that's a wrap for today. So if you learned anything or if you found this video helpful, please be sure to leave a thumbs up below, maybe even subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.